Well, let me ask you. Let me follow up on that with one thing. And obviously, you were under. You may not have thought of it at the time, but there was a tremendous amount of pressure because really you were almost in a no-win situation. Because, and I know you probably thought about this part. If you lose one game or two games, the average person is going to say, "Oh, well, I mean, it's not as good as Coach Quarles." If you don't win the state championship, well, here we go again. I know you probably thought about that part, but then the flip side, which I thought about was, and I don't know, I want to get your idea if this crossed your mind, was, you went in as head coach now with a bunch of players that remembered Coach Quarles as their head coach. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you make one decision that doesn't work out or something doesn't go right, Coach Quarles would have done it a different way. So there was a lot of pressure there. I mean, did any of that cross your mind? And if so, how were you able to deal with all that?
Well, it crossed my mind a whole lot, way too much, honestly. Just too much. And I felt the pressure. There's no question about that, throughout the year. And it got better once the season started because we were so busy, you're just making practice plans and, watching tape, trying to figure out a way to win. But I'm telling you, I felt that was the longest off season. Just because like you said, Ralph, all I could think about was, well, if we get to, we can go undefeated regular season, lose third round of playoffs, and it's a failure. You're 12-1, and you failed. And so I definitely thought about that some, but I was my best when I got to the point where, it didn't matter to me, so to speak, what the average fan, like you said, would think, because you're so right. That's what exactly would have happened, and probably did happen when we went down there and lost to Oakland. This is not the same Maryville team that that we've seen in the past, and even though we didn't have a lot of our players in that game, but the part you said about the kids, that was my biggest fear, was the kids not taken to the transition. Fortunately, I had one of my strengths, I think, probably my greatest strength is building relationships. And I had really invested in a lot of those kids. We went on a mission trip the last 2 summers to Costa Rica, and I got to take, 15 or 20 of those football players down there and do some all sports camps, and really we were doing PE games and, in the camps. And then we'd have our guys, give their testimony and do some devotions with the kids. But just being in those camps, a lot of those kids that went down there was this past senior class. And so I had really built a strong bond with this class, and they were the leaders of the team. So this season really could have gone a lot of different ways, but it went the way it went because those guys were willing to back me as their head coach.
Right.
And I was very, very fortunate that, that they did that, because they could have easily said, like you had said, Ralph, this is not the coach we've been playing for the last 3 years. And so, we go down and lose to Oakland, and who knows what the next week's going to look like, because we got to turn around, and after we played McMinn, we got to play Alcoa and Fulton.
Right.
And so we played some close games. There's no question. The Catholic game could have gone either way. The Alcoa game could have gone either way, but so could the Oakland game that we lost. And I think the best thing that could have happened to me was playing that tough of a schedule.
Right.
The first 5 games, and unfortunately we're going to do it again this year. But especially after, and I don't want to jump ahead, but as much as we're losing, it's going to be a challenge.
Sure.
It's going to be quite a challenge, but I was fortunate to have this senior class and be real close to them, and they kind of got behind me, and my whole thing was I kept telling them I love them, and no matter what happens on the field, I love them and was going to be there for them, and they were there for me.